Good morning, dear students. This is the second video of Economics Chapter 2. Chapter name is People as Resource, and this video is for the student of Standard 9. Students, I hope you all are fit and fine. In our previous video, we just read about people as a resource, and we discussed about what is human resource, what do you mean by human capital, as well as we discussed that what is very much essential for the human capital. So we discussed there about the human capital that is based on education as well as health. Education and health role is very much important in human development or human capital, in the formation of human capital. So here we will discuss about quality of population, that on what basis we just consider that quality is good of the population or not good of the population. So let's see. The quality of population depends on the literacy rate. Health of a person indicates by life expectancy and skill formation acquired by the people of the country. Here just understand students that when we talk about the quality of population, it means the population who can just give his best or give her best to let the country on that level from where it can just proceed to the development. So that is the quality of population. It means people, those who are skilled, those who are knowledgeable, having potential in it. So this way the person who are having all type of ability, they are ready to perform for the country's development. So that is called quality of population. So that only mentioned that person, if he or she is literate, if literacy rate is high, if health of a person indicated by life expectancy means per 1,000 person, how many are just dying, how many are just surviving. That is the birth rate also, you can just compare with that. Birth rate and death rate is a major indicator which shows the life expectancy in the country. If our birth rate is in our control, as well as the death rate, whatever is just happening, that is also in our control. Death cannot be controlled by any one students, but by giving proper medical aid, we can just at least cure the person who are just dying before the age, okay, or whose death is not natural death. Okay, so this way we can just say that our medical facilities is now just enhanced, is very much advanced. We are just adopting the modern method of treatment. So these are the things which are responsible or which are the sign of the development. And skill formation acquired by the people. Skill is also very much important. Many people are potter, weaver, fashion designer, okay, carpenters. So here in these sectors skills are required. The quality of the population ultimately decides the growth rate of the country. Okay, so how the country will just grow, that is decided by the quality of population. Just take simple example, no, that in your family member, if 5 members are just living, all are physically, mentally fit, potential also they have to do the work, and they are just engaging in some type of work. So obviously your family's per capita income as well as the living standard will just enhanced. Okay, it will just developed. Illiterate and unhealthy population are a liability for the economy. Literate and healthy population are an asset. So obviously those who are illiterate, those who are unhealthy, they are just depending on other. They are the asset, they are not the asset, they are the liabilities for the country. For their family also they are the liability, and for the nation also they are the liability. But on the other hand, if we just talk about the literate and healthy population, so they are the asset for the country and the family as well. Now here we will discuss that what are the factors which is responsible for making human capital. So health, which is very much important over here. So let's talk about the health. A healthy person can fully realize his potential and can be an asset for the economy. An unhealthy person shall not be able to realize the potential his or her and can be a liability for the economy. Okay, just take a simple example. When we suffer from fever, then we don't just feel nice and we just lie down on the bed all the time, take medicine. Okay, so in this way we just think that we are not having any potential, we are not just worthy. But this is wrong. When we are just healthy, then we can just give our best. Okay, so at that time we need to think that many child used to hesitate not to take the medicine on time, not to have fruits, not to just use the healthy food. Okay, so that type of person's immune system is very weak. And in this pandemic time, all doctor whole doctor of the world suggested that it is the time, high time to just work on your immune system. So this way our health is very much responsible for just increasing our potential. Until the person is not healthy, not fit from inside, so till then he cannot give his best, his or her best. Okay, as a student you can also think that suppose that if you are suffering from fever or you are not feeling well, so how you behave in class? Can you show the energetic behavior just like you were showing earlier? This cannot be happen. When you are just not feeling well, so obviously you will just lie down, you will put your head down, you will not just respond to the teacher. So at that time what your teachers used to suggest, that take proper rest, have medicine, have proper diet. Doctors also suggest you the same. Okay, so this way you need to understand that our health is very much important. An unhealthy person shall not be able to realize his potential and can be a liability for the economy, because now the person has to just look after by the other person. They used to take care of them. So in this way the unhealthy person, they are becoming the liability only. The National Health Policy of India is aimed toward improving access to health services and improving nutrition, especially among the underprivileged classes. Underprivileged classes, it means the minorities, those who are the poor people. And we are having the world's largest this health scheme in our country. That is one health scheme recently government has launched. You have to just understand that is scheme name. So that is the Ayushman Bharti. Okay, so 5 lakh policy, 5 lakh government is just ensuring the people as a health insurance. So those who are suffering from major diseases or major problems, so they can just take advantage of this Ayushman Bharat scheme. The government health system is composed of many tiers of hospitals. The primary health centers are the bottom of this tier and provide general medical care to rural people. Next you can see here, this is followed by community health centers in bigger tehsils or block level towns. The district hospitals are at district level. Further, medical colleges are present in major cities where doctors of all specialities are present. So time to time doctor used to visit the areas also. Government is also working in health sector lot. As I told you, that largest health insurance scheme launched by Indian government, in which people are just getting 5 lakh as health insurance, and this is especially for those people who are unable to treat their family member, to just get the treatment of their family member, who are not having enough money. So this way, when we talk about in our village areas, so dispensaries are there. You have read in the village of Palampur story that in villages, dispensaries, PHC, primary health centers, some hospitals, okay, clinics are also just opening. So this way, at block level, tehsil level or district level, government is working on health sector. The reach of healthcare services is still too little, but reduction in infant mortality and improvement in life expectancy over the years have shown that the healthcare system has indeed helped in improving the quality of population. So earlier our infant mortality rate were more, but nowadays it is decreasing. That is a great sign, indicator of our health sector improvement. Next is the education. We talked about the health, that how health is just enhancing the quality of the population. Now just read about the education. Education enhances the literacy level and the skill level of a person. It also helps in enriching the culture of the society. Presence of educated persons in the society indirectly benefits the illiterate person as well. What it means to say is, what it means, student, that educated society is also helping the illiterate person. Okay, indirectly it used to give the benefits to the illiterate person, because it used to say that if you are in bad company or good company, you will just start behaving like that. So the persons who are in the company of the literate people, they also learned many things from the literate. So this way the people of the literate society is not helping themselves only, they are helping the others also to just become a good citizen. Government has taken various steps to spread education among the people. Government strives to provide universal access to education. It also makes various plans to increase the retention of students. A special emphasis is given on girls' education. So why it is mentioned that a special focus on girls' education? Because you should know that because of many reasons, still some of the parents are not just willing to send their girl child to school. Okay, many excuses they are just giving. Sometimes they used to blame the government, sometimes they used to blame the society, sometimes because of their own mentality, they are not just ready to send their girl child to school and favoring the boy child only to send the school. So this is very much important. This is stereotype thinking only. So government is launching many schemes to just increase the net attendance ratio in the school campus. Net attendance ratio, it means up to the 14 years of age group people or the students, they should just enroll in the school campus. The plan outlay on education in the first plan was rupees 151 crore. It has increased to rupees 43,824 crore in the 10th plan. This is about the planning year. Okay. The expenditure on education was 0.64% of the GDP in 1950-51 and has increased to 3.98 of the GDP in 2002-3. Okay, so this you need to understand that how much we are spending, how much our government is spending, of what percent of our total GDP government is spending in our education system. So you need to know that in this upcoming new education policy, government is in a mood to just invest 6%, okay, up to 6% of our GDP in education sector. So you can see how our education system started when our country got the independence from the Britishers. After that, how our country just started utilizing the GDP in education. So 0.64, from there only we started investing in education sector. Later on in 2002-3, 3.98%, and in this new education policy, now government will just invest 6% of the GDP in education sector. Due to constant efforts, the literacy rate has grown from 18% in 1951 to more than 70% in 2011. Literacy rate is higher among males compared among females. Kerala is a state with more than 90% literacy, 99.5% literacy rate nowadays. Okay, while some states have a very low literacy rate. Okay, just like our Bihar, UP. This is very much important, student. Learn, educate and change. Okay, without learning you can't get the education, and without education you can't change yourself or society where you are just living. Government has recently launched Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan to spread education to remotest parts of the country. Under this program, all children under 6 to 14 years of age are given elementary education. Elementary education means the basic education. So this is Sarv Shiksha. Name is only suggesting that education for all. Government also provides midday meal in government schools so that children of poor people can attend the school. Midday meal has helped many children from the poor family to attend schools. You are aware with the midday meal students that midday meal is a program run by the government to just provide the food to the children who are just coming there. Okay, in government school this is in practice, so that the attendance of the students can just increase. The 10th plan has focused on increasing the enrollment in higher education from 6% to 9%. The strategy is to increase access, quality and adoptions of state specific curriculum to motivate enrollment in higher education. Vocational courses are also offered, and use of information technology is being maximized to attain the goal. The 10th plan also focuses on distant education, convergence of formal, non-formal and IT education. So these are the curriculum which was added so that it can attract more students in a school. Now take a look of the Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan. SSA is an Indian government program aimed at universalization of elementary education in time-bound manner, as mandated by the 86th Amendment to the Constitution of India, making free and compulsory education to children of ages 6 to 14. Estimated to 205 million in number in 2001, a fundamental right, the program was pioneered by Atal Bihari Vajpayee. So this is the information about Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan students. What it is talking about, that it is an Indian government program obviously, and its aim is there to provide the universalization of elementary education. It means all over India it will just give the education, basic education to all and free of cost education. And this was added in the 86th Amendment of the Constitution, that free and compulsory education. And what age was decided? 6 to 14 years. This was the logo, students. You can see here, right to education, Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan. When we talk about the history of Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, so you can see here, as an intervention program, SSA has been operational since 2000 to 2001. However, its root go back to 1993 to 1994, when the District Primary Education Program, remember the abbreviation DPEP, District Primary Education Program, was launched with the aim of achieving the objective of universal primary education. DPEP over several phases covered 272 districts in 18 states of the country. The expenditure of the program was shared by the central government 85% and the state government. So 15% was shared by the state government. The central share was funded by a number of external agencies including the World Bank, DFID and UNICEF. By 2001, more than $1,500 million had been committed to the program and 50 million children covered in its ambit. In an impact assessment of phase 1 of DPEP, the author concluded that its net so that was the process, that its root was there from 1993 only, that how the government started on a small level, and then after that it started getting help from UNICEF also. Nevertheless, they concluded that the investment in DPEP was not a waste because it introduced a new approach to primary school intervention in India. The Right to Education Act came into force on April 1, 2010. Some educationists and policy makers believe that with the passing of this act, SSA Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan has acquired the necessary legal force for its implementation. So one act was passed only in the year 2010. This is very much important, Right to Education Act. So one act when just passed, then it became compulsory that that students of age between 6 to 14 should get the education free of cost. Okay, elementary education. Present goal of Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan is, you can see here, its goal of 2015. This is the data based on 2015. Open new schools in areas which do not have them, and to expand existing schools, infrastructures and maintenance. It means its aim is there to open new schools and just maintain the old school infrastructure. Address inadequate teacher numbers and provide training and development for existing teachers. Okay, to provide the number of teachers which is required over there. Train teachers. Provide quality elementary education including life skills with a special focus on the education of girls and children with special needs, as well as computer education. So this is about the Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, students. You write a note in your copy about the Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, that is in your question also. What do you mean by quality of population? Again, this question you have to attempt. Okay, so that question's answer is already, I just explained that quality of population means if people are physically, mentally or educationally or education wise, if they are just intelligent, okay, they are having information, they are having knowledge, skill, okay, they are trained people, so that is adding in the quality of population. So thank you for watching this video, students. Thank you very much.